Like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if I just like over explained some Neopets memes? Let's start with an absolute classic, probably the funniest Neopets meme of all time, hands down. And it has to do with Mr. Sneky and his Fance top. We're going to start with a very low level understanding of one element of this meme, because a meme is kind of like a thought virus. Once you share the elements of it, it's recognizably funny in different formats. So the Fance top, this is an item. You could tell that a user is either in their safety deposit box or somewhere where they could see the item's image, name, rarity, and description. And then probably cut off is the quantity that they own of them, and then the options to move them from within their safety deposit box to a different location. And what we see is it's a screenshot, and it says the Fance top on the left side, and then on the right side where the image description is, it says, "Ah, Mr.sneky, I see you are wearing your Fance top. Wearing is misspelled, and I is not capitalized. There's no punctuation. It's kind of just a nonsensical string of prose. It doesn't really make sense in context to the shirt. Usually these descriptions are somewhat comical, but they are within the context that they make sense to somebody unfamiliar with the item. Sometimes they include a passage of where the item originated or what it's part of, but this is nonsensical. It's comedic in just the sense of coming across this item in alienation. And the screenshot is accompanied by a Tumblr screenshot where the concept is somebody took a screenshot of this item and they uploaded it to Tumblr, and then the body of the post accompanying the screenshot is just "what the hell, comma, Neopets." On its own, this is funny because the user is just confused by what's going on with the description of the item, which is a normal thing to feel. And if you were unfamiliar with the rest of the meme, this would be funny as a standalone item. This entire screenshot right here with the "what the hell Neopets" and the description, or just the description alone if you came across it. However, that is only part of the story. The Neopian Times is a weekly, now bi-weekly publication ran by the developers of Neopets.com. Neopets.com is a browser-based website, and they launched this kind of newsletter where users of Neopets.com could submit short stories and creative writing. And one section of the Neopian Times is the editorial. And the editorial is a place where Neopets.com users can submit questions, and the editors of the Neopian Times, which are the developers of the Neopets.com, the members of the Neopets team, can choose which questions to answer. In issue 442, which came out on the 7th day of hunting, year 12, one of the questions in the editorial was about the caption contest. The caption contest is a contest running on Neopets.com where there is an image provided by the Neopets team. Users are invited to submit their captions for the image. The Neopets team goes through, selects some captions, and then the Neopets general usership is invited to vote on those captions for the best to win, and the winning captions are recorded on the page, and the winners get items, Neopoints, and sometimes an avatar. The question asked, "I was wondering, how do you guys choose the captions that go in the contest? Do you actually go through all of them and pick the best, or is it random? Also, is it true that you can be banned from the contest if you send too many entries or something? Thanks, and have a great day." The Neopian Times editors chose this question for the Neopian Times editorial, and here's how they responded. "We look through as many as we can within the time allotted for that particular task, which is several hours. If we picked randomly, you'd know pretty quick. As an example, this is always fun, we went through and did randomly select 5 captions from competition 1107. Here are the results." The image itself is of a loop wearing a Fance top and a hissy wearing a Fance top. The Fance top is a collared shirt with a bow tie on it, and the loop is recoiling while the hissy is hit by a coconut on the head. This illustration is over dramatic. It's in the concept and the regular style of the Neopets caption contest. And one of the suggestions was, "Ah, Mr.sneky, I see you are wearing your Fance top. You are wearing yours too, Mr. Coconut. Speaking of coconut, where did you get the new flying hat of coconut?" "What coconut?" "Oh, that coconut near my head." "What? A coconut on my head?" "Boom! Ah, my head. Good night, Mr. Coconut." This quote was one of the submissions that was filtered out that was chosen as random as an example in this editorial. As you can tell, it is nonsensical and elaborate in a way that almost feels fabricated, that this would be a submission. And just reading it, it's the juxtaposition of the words with the image makes it seem like whoever is looking at the image was not really comprehending what was going on in the image. And the way that the quotes are formatted, you can't tell who they are supposed to correspond with. It gives us a couple of really funny lines here. We get, "Ah, Mr.sneky, I see you're wearing your Fance top," and then, "Good night, Mr. Coconut." These are two lines that we take away. Following this quote being published in the editorial is a flaming coconut, and underneath it says, "Good night, Mr. Coconut." This becomes a recurring joke in the Neopian Times, where in subsequent issues they frequently use the phrase "Good night, Mr. Coconut" to sign off the Neopian Times. Following the publishing of that episode of the Neopian Times, Mr.sneky's Fance top became a meme across Tumblr and the various Neopets properties offside of neopets.com. So anywhere where fans were gathered, it became a little bit of a meme to refer to Mr.sneky's Fance top and "Goodnight, Mr. Coconut," using various different capitalizations to show emphasis on the level of "Good night, Mr. Coconut." Another place where we see this crop up in response to the fact that it was a meme on Tumblr is actually on Tumblr itself. When you used to hover over the Tumblr logo, I don't know if they do this anymore, but they used to back when Tumblr was like good, it generated different memes in text form if you hovered over a certain part of the logo, and one of them was, "Ah, Mr.sneky, I see you're wearing your Fance top," and this was response to the meme's viral status on tumblr.com. Because of the nature that Tumblr news feeds worked, memes would spread outside of their original fan community, and this one became ubiquitous across the platform. I actually heard about this meme when I was working at my college job, the IT service desk. One of my coworkers was, and I've heard that she still is, quite the Tumblrista, and she made a reference to Mr.sneky's Fance top, and I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "What are you talking about? Like, you love Tumblr and you're super into Neopets. How do you not know about this?" And she sent this to me, and it always just makes me laugh. If I were to describe like how this is funny, or like why it's funny, or like why it elicits that response from me, I would say it probably has to do with the existential dread that comes with being a professional adult with the responsibility for hours to review entries to the caption contest. And as an outside viewer, unaware of the process that this professional has to do, you imagine that there must be many entries that are just not funny. Like, they're comprehensible, they're just not funny. But the reality is that the person who is a salary employee with health insurance reviewing these entries has to discern not between two funny entries, but hundreds of gibberish entries and a very small selection of actually funny entries. Instead of a professional parsing between entries that are all equally applicable, they are parsing through dozens and hundreds, and maybe some instances, maybe 1,000 entries that are just incomprehensible gibberish. That's the humor of the meme. the fact that a grown adult person has to read this and look at it and decide whether or not it's funny enough to get voted on upon by a populace of mixed aged peoples on neopets.com. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed me diving way too deep into this meme, and I thought you thought it was an enjoyable way to spend your time. I was on vacation last week, which is why I did not release anything last week. I know that I have several things that I've promised several people on many different games. 2 different games are expecting me to make content. I promise I'm gonna get around to it soon. I started a new job today, so you know that always complicates things in a fun way, but like I said, I'm working on it. Okay, I've got an altar site video that I'm working on and a celestial equine video that I'm working on. So stay tuned. Please be nice in the comments. I know you guys, some of you enjoyed the roast video, so I thought that this might also be something that you would like. Yeah, thanks.